organizations that need to be there are not going to be able to survive unless you fund their operations. And we need more of that money and not just project-based operational money. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Very good.
Here.
My name is Barbara Miller, and I come from the Bunker Hill Superfund site. In 1983, it was designated the second largest NPL site in the nation of 21 square miles. In 2000, it was extended to, 21 square miles. In 2000, it was extended to 1,500 square miles. There's approximately 500,000 people who are affected. I live in the epicenter of the site in a company town, which I believe needs to be dealt with, within EPA's whole cultural protocol, because until somebody has actually lived in a company town in a very isolated, poor community, you have no idea what it's like to go up against, let's say, obstacles. There's 6 generations in my community living with chronic lead and heavy metal contaminated health problems. In 1999, there were 90 pages of titles of health studies done at the site, and more coming every day, that all lend to the realization that the pollution and the contamination is causing these health problems. We have a local health director who research papers have been written by lead experts like John Rosen and Bruce Lanphier and Herbert Needleman, who vividly point out the conflict of interest that he has with the special interests. And whatever we do, we can't get beyond that. Part of it is we don't want to be seen as fighting within our community. We want to work things out, and it's not going to happen. Last year in the community, there are 8,000, or in the whole Superfund site, 8,000 Medicaid children that's mandated by law to be tested for lead. And last year, I think there was about 100 of them tested, with elevated levels still being shown. We need engagement in our community, and we need help with lead health intervention and education and outreach. I've been patient. I've been doing this for 24 years, and we need help with funding, ways to work out that open line of communication that you're talking about, but it's going to have to come from national oversight and assistance to break that cycle that's going on in not only my community, but I know this is going on in other areas. And we need funding, and we can write grants, but they're not going to get funded as long as that, conglomerate conflict of interest exists there. I'll tell you, lead exposure is one of the best kept secrets to the citizens in my community, and it's the nation's largest lead Superfund site. So before I go, I really would like to have, it's a long ways from Idaho, it was hard to get here, I had to raise the money myself. I'd like to have some commitment from someone here at this conference to, assist us with these needs. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any responses here? Or can we keep going? We actually have bonus time, so I'm going to go back over here. Mark?
Hi, I'm Dr. Mark Mitchell with the Connecticut Coalition for Environmental Justice. And since the session is to talk about place-based issues, it just seems to me that the federal government has information, health information, about everybody around the country, that there have been a number of studies around the country, or if there hasn't been, then there should be. There should be basic information on every census tract or census block group in the country, basic health information. And we shouldn't have to wait for communities to come up and say, we think that our community has a higher level of health problems, particularly in communities that are intimidated, where they can be intimidated easily, and communities that are unempowered. There should be basic health information for every census block group in the United States, and the federal government should be able to identify the communities that have the highest levels of health effects. And they should also be looking at things like chemicals, chemical policy. You heard about Mossville, you heard about other places around the country where there's a large concentration of petrochemical facilities, other chemical facilities. And in our community in Hartford, we are on the other end of that process, of the chemical process. Right now, chemicals are not tested for health effects before they're put into consumer products. Out of the 84,000 chemicals that are registered with the EPA as potentially being used in consumer products, they've only been able to request information on 200 of those chemicals and have been only able to restrict the use of 5 of those chemicals in the last 34 years. There's got to be a way to look at to change the federal legislation to look at how chemicals are affecting our communities to make sure that these things are safe. That when you go into the store and you see products on the shelf that you know which ones are dangerous, which ones are safe, and that you could be allowed to choose which ones are safe, or even better yet, to ban the dangerous ones from being on the shelf in the first place. So I'd like to see if you can address those issues.
Thank you. Beverly, you want to get the last question? Last statement?
Yes, I'd like to. Well, just listening to all of this since I was involved in that body burden study, I should be glowing right now based upon the results, but I'm somehow still here. But I am glowing, right? Yeah. But, to get to the point, in dealing with strategic planning within the interagency work groups, I just want to emphasize that climate justice and climate adaptation needs to be a part of that planning. I'm certain that when we did this years ago, we did not do that. This was not on our minds. But increasingly, I believe it's going to be an issue. And I want to use the Gulf Coast just as an example. The recovery process has been so racist in design in every area, from having access to hospitals, living in an area with 60,000 people, we have no hospital. And one of the things that we were told was that because of the new system with all of the neighborhood clinics, health centers, that's a good reason for us not to get a hospital because of the number of beds that are going to be allowed. You cannot believe the kinds of responses we've gotten to getting a hospital. And this is a black community that was thriving before the storm. So certainly income means nothing if you're black or brown or whatever. It has carried no weight. So we have no parks. We have no hospitals. We have no grocery stores. We didn't have good levee protection. We're fighting for that in every way. And this is in an area where black people were looking at second-generation inheritance of housing and property. So we've lost financially. We've lost... our inheritance is gone, and they're trying to kill us. And now, all of the new, they are. I really believe they're trying to kill us. They are now trying to bring all of this new technology for dealing with waste. And where do they want to put it? Where we live. And so, I mean, I don't know how to respond. We're fighting. I'm tired. I'm getting old. But I'm going to fight until the end. I'm looking to the environmental justice part of EPA to respond to some of our complaints. Don't forget all the toxins that were left after the storm. Everybody else has forgotten it. But we know that it's still there. Superfund sites where people are now moving back in those areas. So we're dealing with so many things that it's exhausting. Climate justice and as it relates to climate adaptation needs to be a part of the strategic plan.
Thank you very much. Thanks to everyone. Lunch sure didn't slow us down, and we are off to our next panel. Thanks so much, and thanks to this panel. I'm sorry. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice
That was not
job
easy.
moderating.
No.
It's like they're swooping in here. Okay.
We have a sustainable communities partnership in National City. You know that.
Yeah. More.
No, but I mean, give you something to take.
Oh, sure. Oh, after Westchester. Okay.
Can we all get to see too?
Sure. Thank you so much.
Okay. Can we clear out? Yeah. All right, we're ready to move on to the next section.
All right, everybody, we're going to get ready for our next speaker. So if everybody could remain seated, that'll be fantastic. Jolene is going to actually speak, so please, everyone, please be seated. Can we get everybody to be seated? That'll be fantastic. Thank you so much, everyone. So we're going to start once again. Thank you very much. Here's Jolene.
Good afternoon, everybody. We certainly want our secretaries to say hello. Yeah. Good afternoon, everybody. All right, let's get this show on the road. Are you all familiar with the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon? You guys all know about that? It's a trivia game based on the assumption that within 6 steps, any individual can be linked to a film role by Kevin Bacon. Well, in Indian country, we have something similar to that, except it's more like 2 degrees of separation. And that always starts off with, where are you from and who's your family? Within these 2 questions, one can determine your extended family lineage, including ex-relationships, your tribal affiliation, and how you are connected to that person. So, I'll go ahead and start. My name is Jolene Catron, and I am originally from New Mexico. And I am Laguna and Zuni on my mom's side and Navajo on my dad's side. I currently live and work as Executive Director of Wind River Alliance within and around the Wind River Indian Reservation in west central Wyoming, which is home to the Eastern Shoshone and the Northern Arapaho people, who are my in-laws. Those of you who know central Wyoming know that the area is a place of stunning beauty, abundant wildlife, but harsh, cold winters, and independent, humble people. That is not to say we don't have our challenges, especially around historical issues of environmental injustices and government-to-government relationships. It is my honor to have been asked to introduce 2 people whose leadership and decisions greatly impact the day-to-day workings of my existence and that of other tribal environmental leaders. Heroes to me, like the Walea Johns, Anthony Oldmans, Silver Hanways, and Peter Captains of Indian country, whose leadership and community organizing go beyond mere techniques of survival, but also promote prosperity of our resilient communities in the face of devastating environmental and cultural impacts from climate change. Secretary Ken Salazar is a 5th-generation Coloradan. As with my family, Ken's family settled in the American West before the United States was a country. After settling in New Mexico 4 centuries ago, his family planted roots in Colorado's San Luis Valley, which I might add is within the 4 sacred mountains of the Navajo, where his family has farmed and ranched the same land for 5 generations. Secretary Salazar was raised on a remote ranch without electricity or a telephone. And I would imagine it's very similar to that of my grandfather's house, where he also had to haul his water. And where I might also add again, where many Native people today have homes that still exist without electricity and running water. Ken Salazar was confirmed as the 50th Secretary of the United States Department of the Interior on January 20th, 2009. He has served as Colorado's 35th U.S. Senator, winning election in November 2004, and serving on the Finance Committee, which oversees the nation's tax, trade, Social Security, and healthcare systems. He also served on the Agricultural, Energy and Natural Resources, Ethics, Veterans Affairs, and Aging Committees.